Good morning, friends. Let's begin our satsang together with a prayer and then, no surprise, some music. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, dearest friend, beloved God, great masters, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashaya, Swami Sri Yukteswar, beloved Guru, Paramahansa Yogananda, saints and sages of all religions, we bow humbly before you all. Our friend Swamiji, help us to feel the power of your music. Help us to feel its transforming light, permeating our brain, our body, our consciousness, and uplifting our heart's feelings, showing us a higher way to live, a deeper fulfillment to all of our deepest wishes. Om. Peace. Amen. So today's song is a little bit of a surprise to some, apparently. I told a friend of mine yesterday what song I was doing, and he looked at me and said, "Really?" So we'll see if it comes as a surprise to you or not, but to me it seemed like fairly low-hanging fruit. And this is from the Shakespeare suites that he wrote, and this is from the play Two Gentlemen of Verona, and it's called Who is Sylvia? And just because I think some context is helpful to understand this song a little more thoroughly, and added to the fact that Shakespeare's lyrics are often bamboozling to some, I'll just briefly give a little slice out of what's happening in this moment of the play and why they're singing this song. And in this play, Two Gentlemen of Verona, in fair Verona there lives a woman named Sylvia, no surprises here so far, and she is the embodiment of beauty. But not just beauty, she embodies all the traits of the divine feminine, and because of that, everyone's falling in love with her. And so basically the whole play centers around these two gentlemen of Verona who are vying for her hand in marriage. And the two gentlemen are, of course, best friends, and as things intensify, there's increasing drama. But at this point in the play, it's a really fun moment. And actually, just I have to also throw in that this play is a comedy, so there's no tragedy, it's all very light and sweet. And one of the men goes outside her balcony window, and in a series of escalating attempts to woo her, he brings with him a whole band of minstrels, and this is what they sing to her outside of her window. And so this is, in the play, this is what he has composed to try and express his love to her. And it's just outrageously romantic. If we just sort of look at it as it is, the idea of having someone show up outside your balcony and singing a song like this is uncommon, right? But let's take a listen to the lyrics, let's listen to the words, and let's feel what Swamiji is inviting us to experience through it. And then, of course, we'll get to dive deeply into that over the next 30 minutes. But for now, let's enjoy just that fun context of the play, almost the heightened ridiculousness of the fact that this is a man with his four merry minstrels singing to the woman whom he loves. Who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her. Holy, fair, and wise is she. The heavens such grace did lend her, that she might admired be, that she might admired be. Is she kind as she is fair? For beauty lives with kindness. To her eyes love doth repair, to help him of his blindness, and being helped inhabits there, and being helped inhabits there. Then to Sylvia let us sing, that Sylvia is excelling. She excels each mortal thing. Upon the dull earth dwelling, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring. Let's just pause for a moment and feel the love and the bliss, the enjoyment of this song. What happens to your heart when you listen to this melody and to these words? Can you feel the change in your consciousness, in your awareness? It's a very sweet song, isn't it? A very sweet melody and incredible poetry. Swami commented that apparently he said that writing the lyrics often took him the longest when writing music, and so almost to take like a little bit of a break, he went and took a number of lyrics from Shakespeare and just, I believe, in an afternoon wrote something ridiculous like 15 or 20 melodies, because the lyrics were all so well composed that the melodies naturally came out of them. And we can sort of see that happening in this song, that even the melody reflects the lyrics itself, that the first lines, who is Sylvia, what is she? That the person writing this, the person singing this, is genuinely asking the question. And it's sweet that the melody reflects that. Who is Sylvia, what is she? Seems to be asking a question. And then it continues throughout the entire phrase and throughout the entire song. It's trying to answer that question. Who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her. And now, as I said this earlier, you might be wondering, why did I pick this song in the context of a series about right living through music? And if you're like my other friend and your eyebrows are yet raised, wondering how this pertains, well, this is actually the exciting part to me, because this song is so much about human love and about human romance and about uplifting those desires and those yearnings and that aspiration to a divine octave. And so how does this song pertain to our life? Well, have you ever loved? Do you ever desire to love? Do you have a desire to be loved? Have you ever been loved? And have you ever lost that love or seen it slip from the pedestal of the sweetness of your own heart? And have you ever wished that you could uplift that love to a divine octave where it could rest forever, where it could continue to expand and grow and draw you into a higher reality, a higher understanding of your own self? I have. And that's exactly what this song is about. That's what this song is all about. I was having a conversation with another friend months ago, and he actually remarked, he said, I don't understand why Swami wrote music to these lyrics, because it seems so worldly. And I didn't answer at the time, but I thought, well, then you haven't understood the lyrics. You haven't understood the lyrics yet, because they're actually very otherworldly. The song is all about transforming human love into a divine remembrance, into a divine love, into a divine romance. And so let's take a look together at these lyrics, which Shakespeare gave us several hundred years ago, but which still pull on the heartstrings today. And so the first verse is, who is Sylvia? What is she? That all our swains commend her. And if you're not up to snuff on your ancient, on your old English language, a swain is just someone who is falling in love with another person, or like a courtier. And so, who is Sylvia? What is she that all the young men of Verona are falling in love with her? And then, this is actually one of my favorite lines of the whole song, is the poet describes her. And he describes her as holy, fair, and wise is she. And this is so sweet, that out of the first three adjectives, like if we had never met this woman, if we had never seen her before, and in fact we haven't, that all we have to go is the words of Shakespeare and the melody that Swami's written for us. But the first description we have of her is that she is holy. Isn't that sweet to contemplate? And think now in contrast to the music of our culture today. How many love songs have you heard today where the lovesick swain is describing his beloved as being holy? So few, right? Isn't that so? In fact, I don't think I've ever heard it in modern music. Fair, meaning beautiful, sure. But even fair is such a wonderfully poetic word to use here, because fair means much more than simply attractive or sensually beautiful. Fair implies an uplifted quality of that beauty, and also implies, of course, the fairness of consciousness, which is what this song is also all about. Because as one of the other lines says in the next verse, is she kind as she is fair? For beauty lives with kindness. And so this song is not only about celebrating and being enamored with the divine feminine, but it's also telling us how to cultivate that in ourselves, how to cultivate that not only in our own hearts, but in the relationships that we have. This is an incredible teaching tool for us to learn how to live rightly, if we sing it and if we listen to it and if we attune ourselves to it properly. And because it's Shakespeare, almost everyone has this knee-jerk reaction to say, it's Shakespeare, therefore I don't understand it. Well, bear with me. I bet by the end of the next 18 minutes, we'll have a pretty firm understanding of what this song's all about. So now back to the first verse of this wonderful piece of poetry. Holy, fair, and wise is she. And then interestingly, beautifully to me, those are some of the descriptions often given to the goddesses of India, that they're always described as being sacred and as being wise, source of wisdom, as well as being sources of beauty and prosperity and love and abundance, but that they go hand in hand. Then it goes on, the heavens such grace did lend her that she might admired be, that she might admired be. And this is such a key point, because this is already, in the first verse, helping us to realize that everything that we love in life, everything that we aspire towards, everything that uplifts our heart is not because of its reality in this material plane, but it's because it is a symbol, because it is a window into the divine consciousness. The heavens such grace did lend her. Did lend her. Think of that. That heaven is in possession of this wonderful grace, of this quality, that, and then God decided to bestow that into this woman, Sylvia. And so the poet, when he's singing this, is recognizing that what he loves is not just this human form, but what he loves is the grace of God, which has descended through her, that she might admired be, that she might be loved, that she might coax all of our hearts upwards, is what that's saying. Isn't that a beautiful piece of poetry? The heavens such grace did lend her that she might admired be, that she might admired be. And already, just think of this, it's the juxtaposition is startling. Just yesterday I was subjected to some modern music, and I was consciously trying to tune as much of it out as I possibly could. But, you know, I couldn't help but hear some of the rhythms and the beats and the melodies, or lack thereof, and the lyrics used. I've never heard such sweet and ennobling lyrics as this in any love song written recently. Have you? And so this, what an incredible opportunity this piece of music is to teach us how to love. You know, I was just talking with a group of high school students, and I didn't say this to them at the time, but I wish retrospectively that I could have told them, be careful what music you listen to. Be careful what movies you watch. Be careful what novels you read. Because we all have an ideal of what love ought to be, either given to us from our parents, by media, by society, by music. And these things are very influential on us. They teach us this is the good life. This is what you ought to aspire towards. This is the peak of human experience. And then we go and we try and replicate that. We try and duplicate that in our own lives. And then, surprise, surprise, when all we do is duplicate sensuality, lust, greed, and material infatuation, even if we accomplish all those things, what we're left with is emptiness and loneliness and sorrow. And then we feel so confused because here we've accomplished everything that society told us we ought to chase, and now we feel worse than we ever have before. It's a cruel joke, isn't it? But if we were to listen, if our entire society were to listen to songs like this, if every young teenage boy listened to a song like this when he had his first high school crush, when he had his first high school love, and if he thought to try and embody this quality in his romance, imagine what our society would be today. Imagine how different the world would be. It would be so different, wouldn't it? And so we don't have to wait for everyone else to change. Let's change. Let's begin to draw this vibration into our own hearts. And as I have tried to do that this week, I have been overwhelmed with the sweetness of it. Because this song is a beautiful one to me in that it's about experiencing divine love in your own life, right here and right now. And there are other songs that are about a more mystical divine love, a love that has no form, a love, as Swami writes in another song, I have a love who's far away, far away, far away. But that's not what this song is. This song is saying, I see Divine Mother here before me, behind the eyes of this woman whom I love. And that is so sweet to the human heart. That is so sweet to where all of us are, I think. I think all of us want that to some extent, don't we? And this song is feeding us in the highest possible way, drawing that desire back to its true home in God. So now let's take a look at the second verse. I know it might feel like I'm spending a lot of time on the lyrics, but the lyrics give so much. The melody is quite simple, as is the case with many of Swamiji's songs, and the lyrics give us so much to contemplate, so much to meditate on. The second verse says, Is she kind as she is fair? For beauty lives with kindness. And those don't take too much explanation, but this is well worth meditating on. In our own selves, are we as concerned with kindness as we are with other more superficial qualities? And again, I just keep thinking of, if all of our young men and women ascribed these values, imagine what would change. That if we valued kindness as much as beauty, or as much as outward appeal, it's just worth meditating on. I've found it very interesting. And then this next line is really a beautiful piece of poetry, which has taken me years, I think, to begin to understand. And it simply reads, To her eyes love doth repair, to help him of his blindness, and being helped inhabits there, and being helped inhabits there. And this line doesn't necessarily immediately make complete sense, but my best stab at understanding of it, after some contemplation, is he's saying, now to her eyes, let me describe them. Let me address the wondrous quality of her eyes. What is it to look into this woman's eyes, Sylvia's eyes? To her eyes, love doth repair. Meaning that he's saying, when I look into her eyes, the love I see there does repair. It repairs me. It heals me, is what he's saying. And what does it heal me of? It heals me of my blindness, that it helps me again to see. And all of us truly are blind. We walk through the world blind to the wonders of Divine Mother present everywhere. And what this verse is saying is that to look into this woman Sylvia's eyes is to be healed by her love, to be healed by Divine Mother's love, and to be able to see again. And that vision is not necessarily, of course, physical, but is an inner vision, and is the vision of appreciation and of divine love everywhere. It's very interesting. Of course, this song is so overtly romantic. and just takes the idea of human romance and pulls it up at the very highest thread. And, is such an intense experience of it that many of us almost think, whoa, I don't know if that's even possible. Well, it is. But what's also interesting to me is this song is very clearly a song to the ideal of the Venus principle, meaning that principle of Divine Mother coaxing us through all things that are good, through all things that are kind, through all things that are sweet in life. And what's very interesting, because I do study some astrology, in the myths around Venus, Venus is endowed with the power to perform miracles, to resurrect, to make the blind see. All these qualities Venus has. And it's very interesting because the planet Jupiter often is called the guru planet. And Jupiter has wisdom and can give you truth and can give you freedom. But Venus is the one that can resurrect you. Venus is the one that can make the old young again, that can make the dead rise, that can make the blind see. And so here we're seeing that, again, reflected in this song. And that all of us have experienced this, isn't it true? That when we are truly feeling that rising prana in the heart, which is resurrection itself, we feel young, we feel alive, we feel full of hope and vigor and just vitality. Isn't that what happens when we truly feel that current of love? And of course, the trouble with human love is we might feel that for some time, but then if we're disappointed or if it doesn't work out or whatever else, if we become too attached to material forms, then that love can wane and we can lose it. We can spill the chalice of our love into the world, and suddenly that vitality leaves us again, and we might become heartbroken or simply washed out. But what this song is telling us is that that current, if directed towards the right end, can resurrect us and can help us to see her everywhere. And this is something, we're talking about right living through music. How can this music help change our life, teach us right attitudes, teach us how to walk the spiritual path? Instead of just intellectually understanding, how can we actually do it? Well, many times we've heard many ministers, we've heard Swami, we've heard Master say, see Divine Mother everywhere. But what does that mean? What does that experience feel like? How can we possibly begin to do that? I walk outside and I see a tree and I see a flower, and often I just see a tree or a flower. How do I begin to actually feel Divine Mother's loving presence there? By singing a song like this. The heaven such grace did lend her that she might admired be. To her eyes love doth repair, to help him of his blindness. That's what this song is all about. And now, this is pretty far out stuff. I recognize that. I'm talking about some lyrics of Shakespeare and a melody written by Swami, and I'm saying that it's going to help you see Divine Mother everywhere. If you don't believe me, try it. Try it. Sing this song for a week. Sing it every day. Sing it in your commute to work. Sing it before you have an interaction with your loved one. Sing it as you visualize your wife's eyes or your husband's eyes, and try and draw Divine Mother through them and see what happens. You might be surprised. I know I've been surprised. And the thing is, when you begin to feel that divine love, not a human limited love, but a divine love flowing through the people in your life, through the things in your life, the natural effect is not to hoard that love, not to implode upon yourself, not to withdraw away from life, but the natural effect is to want to share that love with others, that you'll want to include others in that bliss that you feel, in the love that you feel. And that's what we hear in this song. So now the third verse goes, then to Sylvia let us sing, that Sylvia is excelling. She excels each mortal thing, upon the dull earth dwelling. To her let us garlands bring. To her let us garlands bring. And this last verse can be a little bit confusing because it says she excels each mortal thing. Does that mean she's like excellent at the guitar and, writes good poetry and whatever she decides to do she's good at? I don't think so. I think what he's saying here is she accelerates the spiritual growth of everything. That everything in her presence becomes more of itself. That everything in her presence is drawn upwards towards its highest potential. That's what excels mean. She helps everything to excel at being itself through the power of her love. It's beautiful, isn't it? So now let's listen to the melody together. And so I'll play the melody a few times through on the cello, and then we'll sing it together. But just let's tune into this melody. I've talked a lot about the words, and now let's ask ourselves, and let's ask Swamiji, what does this melody contain? Why have you put them together? And let's allow it to work its magic upon our hearts. Now let's close our satsang together by singing our adoration to Divine Mother, both in and beyond all forms. Who is Sylvia? What is she that all our swains commend her? Holy, fair, and wise is she. The heavens such grace did lend her, that she might admired be, that she might admired be. Is she kind as she is fair? For beauty lives with kindness. To her eyes love doth repair, to help him of his blindness, and being helped inhabits there, and being helped inhabits there. Then to Sylvia let us sing, that Sylvia is excelling. She excels each mortal thing. Upon the dull earth dwelling, to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands bring. to her let us garlands bring, to her let us garlands